Let's see. It looks like we're live. Let me just double check that everything's working. As always, yes, it looks like we're going. Still says sending data, so it's probably just getting started on YouTube. It may already be started on YouTube. I'm trying some new technology again, so bear with me. It's always fun. I'm trying to find a sweet spot for getting these to work the best. But it looks like we're working. So let's go ahead and get started. Cool. Hello and welcome to this week's live Monday music motivation. Just to recap, I think it's important to be giving little recaps of these so we all know what's going on. What this is just every Monday, I'm going live on YouTube and sometimes Facebook, depending on how the technology is working. And the goal here is to give you a little bit of motivation, a little bit of inspiration that will help to guide you forward in your music journey, help you to feel like you're accomplishing things. I tell you a little bit about my story to sort of again motivate you and know that you're not alone on this music journey. And most importantly, is I have a little template that will help you to uh, move forward, plan what you're actually going to be doing, and we'll talk about that more at the end because that's probably the most important part of these. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the motivation and inspiration that I have for you for today. Last week, we talked about the importance of always learning new things and integrating that new information and actually taking action on it. And today I want to give you a little bit of support and encouragement when it comes to learning those new things because sometimes it can feel really hard when we're learning something new, especially a new piece. This is something that still is 100% true for me, even in my practice. And when I pick out a new piece and put it up on my stand and look at it, I look at the page and think, oh my gosh, that's like really complicated. There's all this crazy stuff going on. But almost every time I start learning it and I'm like, oh, okay, this is how it goes. Like all that ink on the page is not nearly as stressful or crazy as it looks. So it gets better as I start to get into it and actually learn it. Another way to think about this is take a piece that you're working on now, a piece that you feel like feels impossibly difficult. It's a piece that you approach and you're like, oh my goodness, this is so hard. Whether it's a band piece or an orchestra piece where it's just so fast and it's crazy difficult, or an etude or a solo piece, something that you have in mind that like I think we all have that piece that you're like, oh, I really should be working on this, but it's just so stinking hard. Like, how can anybody do this? But what I want you to think about is if you put that same piece in front of me or in front of Martin Frost or Sabina Meyer or Anthony McGill or any of those fantastic professionals and they looked at it, would they think it's hard? Or would they be like, yeah, this is sight readable, this is easy. Maybe it takes a little practice depending on how hard it is. But that gives a little perspective that if you put this piece in front of a better player, they probably wouldn't find it nearly as hard as you. And the point of that is hard is all relative. Something that's hard for one person could be extremely easy for somebody else. Something that's extremely easy for one person might be extremely hard for somebody else. It's all relative to sort of where you are in your playing. So if there's no such thing as an inherently hard piece, then it's not a matter of difficulty, it's a matter of familiarity. And that's the sort of mindset shift that I want us all to make. Is next time you're going for a really challenging anything, whether it's a tricky piece that has some traps and tricks in it, or a new fundamental skill, maybe it's like a new scale that you're learning, or maybe you've been anchor tonguing and now you're learning to not anchor tongue, whatever that is, I want you to not think about it as, oh, this is really hard and really difficult and something that I can't do, because that's going to be a self fulfilling prophecy where it will be really hard and really difficult and something that you can't do. But instead, I want you to think, well, this is easy for Martin Frost, or this is easy for whoever. So it means that you can do it as well. You just need to get familiar with it. So that's the big shift is nothing's hard. It's just unfamiliar. And once you get familiar with it, once you build that familiarity, then it's going to be a lot easier for you and will feel natural and simple. So that's my sort of big advice, big motivation for you all is next time you're looking at something and thinking like, oh, this is impossibly difficult, that's just because it's unfamiliar. Take some time to break it down, maybe just focus on the rhythm, just listen to it, just finger along, whatever you need to do to simplify it so that it can be easier to digest, easier to start getting familiar with and getting to know it a little bit. So that's that. Now I want you to put that into your template. This might be a good opportunity to tackle something hard. Make that your goal this week is to get familiar with something that has felt too hard in the past. That would be a really fun goal for this week. But I want you to fill out this template. You can find the link in the description or go to quickstartclarinet.com/get started to download the template. Or of course, you can just recreate it on your own because it's very simple. It's just the date for the week, the reflection of how things are going, how things went last week, your goal for this week, and then your plan for when you're actually going to do it. And take that plan, put in exactly what you're doing. Mine's pretty brief. You could go into even more detail than this. It could be even briefer than this if you want. It's just something to think about where you are in the journey, think about where those big long-term goals are, and then set the next stepping stone. So you know the next step to take for this week, then put it in your schedule, put it in your calendar, put it in your journal, put it in your planner, put it wherever you need to put it, on your forehead, I don't care. Put it somewhere where you're actually going to do it and follow through on the action to take that next step so you can keep moving forward. So that's this week's Monday Music Motivation. Good luck with that. Go fill out your template for this week, and I will see you next week. Bye. And I'm going to wait a little bit just to make sure it doesn't cut anything off at the end. Okay.